What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Kyba Watson back with another video for you guys today. This time it's a different style of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video. A friend of mine actually asked me to do a video like this. Well, he asked me to do a tutorial on how I play the deck. But first I kind of want to give you guys just the gist of what the deck actually is. So I'm going to show you guys my Traptrix Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck in Master Duel, and just go over the cards, what the card is doing, all of that stuff. Hopefully it won't take that long, but I want to show you guys the deck that I play in Master Duel and that I also kind of play IRL. But without further ado, it's your boy Kyba. We can just get right into it. So here we are with the deck profile. We're running 47 cards. The name of my Traptrix deck is the Trap House. I thought it was actually a cool little name for the deck. Cool little quirky name. But like I said, we're running 47 cards. Most of them spells, traps, and Traptrix monsters. I guess we'll just get into it and go over what most of the cards do. So to start off, we are running one Maxi because I only have one Maxi made in the game. But you guys know what Maxi does. Maxi is pretty much a staple card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel actually right now. So Maxi is pretty much self-explanatory, but during your player, any player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. This turn, each time your opponent special summons a monster, immediately draw one card. You can only use one Maxi per turn. So that's pretty much what Maxi does. Maxi is pretty much, a staple card of Master Duel. It's banned in the TCG and OCG, but it's still playable here in Master Duel, which is actually pretty good sometimes. We're also running 3 Ash Blossom for Joyous Springs. You know what Ash does. So when your opponent activates the effect that includes any of the effects, you can use this card, send it to the graveyard, and you can negate that person's activation of the card. So if they try to add a card from the deck to the hand, negate. Special summon from the deck, negate. And you can send a card from the deck to the graveyard. You can also negate that. So you can only use one Joyous Spring Ash Blossom once per turn. So we're running 3 of those. It's also a tuner card. But getting into the bread and butter of the actual Traptrix deck, we are running 3 Myremello, which is one of our best monster cards in the deck. She is a level 4, 1600 attack, 1200 defense, unaffected by the effects of whole normal traps. All of the Traptrix monsters are unaffected by the effects of whole normal traps. When you normal summon this card, you can use this effect to get one normal trap from your deck to your hand. And if this card is special summon, you can target one back row card that your opponent has and destroy it. So this card is actually pretty busted sometimes. You can just normal summon it and grab yourself maybe a whole Atea to set up a play for Sarah and everything. Or I would probably normal summon, activate the effect, and get a floodgate so I can flip opponent's monsters, or maybe a Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare or something like that. But yeah, you can do whatever you want with Mantis. And also I think it's the second effect, which is actually pretty good also. You can special summon it and pop any back row if you're not negated. We are running 1 fodder card in the Traptrix deck, which is Traptrix Nepenthes. She is unaffected by the effects of whole normal traps. That's all the Traptrix monsters. They're unaffected by the effects of whole normal traps. So if it's a whole trap card, they're all unaffected by it. There's no effect to these cards. So this card is pretty much a fodder card. I don't really use this card. I just use this card to go into Sarah most times. But if this card is normal summon, you can add to your hand a special summon 1 Traptrix monster from your deck except Traptrix Nepenthes. You can only use this effect of Traptrix Nepenthes once per turn. So I can send a whole normal trap from my hand, I think, to the graveyard, and special summon this card to the field. It comes in handy sometimes, not really. I just use it to go into Sarah most times to set up a play with Sarah, but it's a fodder card. It's in here. It's also in my IRL deck or whatever. But Nepenthes, she's just there to be like an extra like monster that I can like go into Sarah with. We also have Traptrix Dionaea, which is actually another like bread and butter card to go into the mix of Traptrix. Dionaea is actually a pretty cool card. So also unaffected by the effects of whole normal traps. And when this card is normal summon, you can target one monster in your graveyard and special summon that target in defense position. And when this card is special summon, you can target one normal whole trap in your graveyard and set that target, but banish it at the end phase of your next turn if it's still on the field. And you can only use the effects of Traptrix Dionaea once per turn. So you use both effects, but you only use them once per turn. Dionaea comes in handy a lot in the long game for me. If you've seen the videos, you've seen that I've used her to like, you know, maybe get a Gravedigger's Trap Hole out of my graveyard and set it to the field when I'm playing to get something like maybe Dark Magician or, you know, Sword Soul or something like that to like, you know, stop their plays from like special summoning from the hand and stuff like that. But Dionaea comes in handy with her second effect a lot. Also sometimes with her first effect, you know, you could just like normal summon, you could special summon a Traptrix monster from your graveyard in defense position and probably go into like XYZ play and just like, you know, dominate that way. But yeah, you run two of those, which is that's standard, that's mandatory. We also got another one of our mandatory standard Traptrix cards, which is Traptrix Mantis, another searcher. This one searches for another Traptrix monster to your hand, actually. She's unaffected by the effects of whole number traps, and when this card is normal summon, you can add one Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. I normally go into like maybe Arachnocampa whenever I use her effect. I put Arachnocampa in my hand because Arachnocampa can summon from your hand if you have other Traptrix monsters on the field, but we'll get into Arachnocampa in a second. So when this card is normal summon, you can add one Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand, and once per turn, as a quick effect, you can target one set spell or trap you control and return that target to the hand. Then you can set one spell or trap from your hand. So you can bounce one card from the field back to your hand and then reset that card if you need to reset that card for like maybe a Holotea play or something like that. Also another great Traptrix card. We have another fodder Traptrix card in our deck right now. Just to get into like Sarah plays or something like that. You know, it's going to be that way when you play Traptrix sometimes. It's just to get into like, you know, the Sarah plays, or to like, you know, to play out the game more, to like get into the long game and actually like, you know, try to win the game mostly. But this is Traptrix Vesiculo. Also unaffected by the effects of whole normal traps. You can only use one of the following effects of Traptrix Vesiculo once per turn, and only once that turn. You can send one trap you control to the graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, and if you control no cards in your spell or trap zone, you can banish this card from your graveyard and target one whole number trap in your graveyard and set that to the field. Sometimes this works. You could probably just like, you know, you can, if you have no traps or anything on the field, you can just like, you know, special summon this card. You can banish this card from the graveyard and target one whole number trap in your graveyard and set that trap. So I would probably like go into like maybe a Holotea play, or maybe like a Gravedigger play, Gravedigger's Trap Hole play, and probably try to stop my opponent from special summoning from their hand and burning them for 2,000 damage, something like that. Maybe, I don't know. I sometimes when I'm playing, I just like, I have like these big brain plays and I just execute them so well. But yeah, Traptrix Vesiculo is another fodder card. You don't really need it, but if you need it, then put it in the deck, you know. It's there for like another, like, you know, extender play. And now we have one of the new supports that came into the game recently, Traptrix Pudica, which is from the structure deck that we got from the Traptrix structure deck. Pudica should be at 3, but I'm running 2. I run 3 in my IRL Traptrix deck, but the effects of Pudica, she is a plant effect, unaffected by the effects of normal trap holes. You can only use each of the following effects of Traptrix Pudica once per turn. When this card is normal summoned, you can add one Traptrip Garden, which is the new spell card, which is kind of busted. It allows you to normal summon another Traptrix monster after your first normal summon / set. And the spell card, which we're going to get into eventually, also protects you from your cards being destroyed once per battle, which is actually pretty busted. I think I played a play like that in one of the videos that I posted earlier, but it's actually pretty good. But the thing I like about Pudica is her second effect. If she is special summoned, you can actually you can target one special summon monster your opponent controls and banish it. But also during the next standby phase, your opponent can special summon that banished monster back to the field. But it's cool for like getting like a big monster off the field that your opponent summoned. If she's special summoned with like say the effects of like maybe Holotea or whatever, you could banish Holotea, special summon a Traptrix monster from your graveyard back to the field. I normally do banish Holotea, special summon Pudica, banish a big monster that my opponent has summoned, and then that would probably like trigger Sarah and then pop off, so I can like, you know, special summon, or I can like, you know, set another like trap and all of that, and then just goes into a bunch of like crazy plays. But Pudica is actually a pretty cool busted card for both of its effects. We have another new support card that came that's in the Traptrix structure deck also, that came recently to Master Duel. Arachnocampa is actually cool. We have her at 3. I think I have her at 3 in my IRL deck also. She's 1300 attack, 1500 defense, unaffected by the effects of whole normal traps. The first time each card set to your spell and trap zone will be destroyed by card effect, it is not destroyed. So she is a back row protection card, which is actually pretty dope. She's kind of like, I think Reflasia a little bit also, which is cool. So that first effect is actually pretty cool. But I think I like her second effect more. As a quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except insect or plant monsters, which isn't bad. You can just special summon this card if you have like say like just a Sarah on the field, or just like another Traptrix monster on the field, but you're locked into plant monsters, which isn't a bad thing, because like the extra deck is mostly like, you know, plants, extra deck XYZ monsters and all of that. I mean, you'd be locked out from going into Zeus, or like, you know, Tornado or Baguska, or into Time Thief, but you don't really need to. Like, I haven't had to go into those recently playing the deck, but yeah, you'd be locked into just plant monsters and insect monsters, which isn't bad. But it's cool because it can special summon itself to the field if you have another Traptrix monster on the field already, which can pop off Sarah to set more traps. And you know, you can go into like XYZ plays with, you know, Reflasia, Penguicula, Reflasia, and Alamaris, and even the other Link monsters that are plant Traptrix monsters, which is actually pretty dope. Arachnocampa is pretty dope card. Run that at 3. Okay, so for the non-Traptrix monsters engine, we have a Kaiju, which we need in this deck. I think I have 2 Kaijus in this deck. I have 1. I should be running 2. But we have Gardula, the Mystery Dust Kaiju. You know what Kaijus do. You can just special summon this card to your opponent's field if they have like a really tough monster, and just like, you know, most times I would special summon this to the opponent's field to get rid of like, you know, a Baron or something big that negates my monsters or whatever. So if you go in second, this card is really cool to you know, try and like break your opponent's board. You always gotta have some kind of Kaiju in your decks. I run this, or I run just some kind of Kaiju in the deck. You have to run a Kaiju in your decks when you are playing Master Duel. So most times when I'm going to second, I do draw this along with like maybe a Lightning Storm, not Lightning Storm, a Raigeki. So I would special summon this and then Raigeki went to break the board, and then go into like one of my plays. So yeah, you know, it's just mandatory to have a Kaiju in your deck. I don't have these cards in my IRL deck, but Parallel Exceed works pretty well with Traptrix because of both of its effects actually. So if you guys know Parallel Exceeds, it's the level 8 monster that starts off at 2k attack and 2k defense. But if this card is special summoned by the effects of Parallel Exceed, its level becomes level 4 and its original attack and defense becomes half. You can only use the effects of Parallel Exceed for the following effects of Parallel Exceed once per turn. If you link summon, you can special summon this card from your hand to your zone that the link monster points to. And if this card is normal special summon, you can special summon one Parallel Exceed from the deck. So most times I would go into like a Sarah play. I would go into like, maybe say I have Mantis, Parallel Exceed. I would normal summon Mantis effect to grab a spell, link off Mantis into Sarah. Sarah's the link card. It activates Parallel Exceed's effect to special summon to the field. It halves its attack and defense and becomes a level 4 instead of a level 8. And then the second effect of Parallel Exceed can special summon a second Parallel Exceed to the field from my deck. And they both become level 4s, which can get me into an Xyz play. Normally I would go into like Rafflesia, or if I'm really down bad, I'd probably go into like maybe Baguska or Time Thief. And stuff would play like that, like it's actually a really busted card to have in your Traptrix because it works so with Traptrix because you link summon to Sarah all the time. For going second cards, I got a Nibiru the primal being. You know what Nibiru does. If your opponent normal or special summons more than 5 times, you can tribute this card to the side of the field and pretty much stop their play most times. It works a lot sometimes when I'm going against you, like, you know, maybe Sword Soul or maybe like a Despia deck, or sometimes, most times it works, more times than not. Sometimes I break when I go second with it, but you know, you need something to, like, you know, break the opponent's board, which is Nibiru is actually pretty good most times. More going second cards, we have Raigeki, destroys all monsters in your opponent field. You know what this does. We have back row removal, which is Harpie's Feather Duster, mandatory card. Monster Reborn never really comes up as much as I need it to, or it's just there to like have another card in the deck just in case I need something to come out of the graveyard. Like I would probably like use this to special summon back maybe Pudica or Myremello to banish a monster with Pudica, or to pop a back row with Myremello or something like that. That's pretty much what Monster Reborn is there for. We're running 2 of the new Traptrip Garden spell card. Like I said earlier, this is the card that Pudica searches. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Traptrix monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. And the first time each insect or plant monster you control will be destroyed by battle, each turn it is not destroyed. And I can banish 1 monster I control, especially some 1 Traptrix monster from my hand or graveyard. And you can only use it to affect the Traptrix Garden once per turn. So yeah, this card is pretty busted. I run it at 2 in the game and in IRL, and actually it comes in handy sometimes. I think the last game I played, I have a video up where I actually played Garden up, and you guys can see how I actually did that. But yeah, Garden is actually a pretty cool card. We have 1 Caught by the Grave, just for, like, you know, if we play against a deck that needs to be called by, I guess. We have a Torrential Tribute, when I just gotta destroy all monsters on the field. Most times this card doesn't come up, or most times I just use it as fodder for a Holotea. But yeah, you know, it's there because I played in my arrow deck, so it's there for if I just gotta like, you know, wipe the entire board. We have Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. I'm clicking on the wrong screen. When a monster that special summon this turn activates its effects on your opponent's field, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Pretty cool card. It comes up most times when people summon like really big monsters, and I have this card in my back row, and I have a Sarah with nothing to, like, you know, destroy their card with. I just pop this, and this destroys the monster. Then you know Sarah activates, and I can special summon the monster from my deck because of Sarah's secondary effect after a spell card pops off. We have time space. When your opponent special summons a monster from the hand or extra deck, shuffle that monster into the deck, and I take 1,000 burn damage. You know, situational. I use it most times. It comes up. I use it a lot. This is Floodgate Trap Hole. It's pretty much a Book of Moon. Whenever an opponent summons a monster, I flip this, and it just flips the monster for the duration of their turn. And you know, it's just pretty much a Book of Moon. Normal standard trap hole card. We have Dimensional Barrier for when we play against tier elements. We can stop their, you know, their I think they are ritual. I think they're ritual or fusion, one of the two. I'm not too sure. I forget. So we can stop them from, like, you know, going into an extra deck most times and just like in their place like that. Evenly matched for when I'm getting smacked up and don't have much on the field, so I can just make them banish cards on their field if they have more than me after battle. We have impermanence. Most times I use this to bait out, like, you know, my Sarah effect. Most times I don't really use impermanence. Like I said, most of these trap cards are used for like Holotea's effects and special summon her to the field to pop off with Sarah and stuff like that, and they get go to Xyz plays. But yeah, we got impermanence. It's used most times not. You can target one monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of this turn. If it was set before activation and it is on the field at resolution, for the rest of this turn, all other spell shot effects in the column are negated. Yeah, okay. So you pretty much know what a effect veiler is. We've seen it most times. Gravedigger is probably my favorite trap hole in this entire deck because I go against a lot of decks that special summon from the hand or from the graveyard and stuff like that. So I just, like, you know, put one or two of these on the field, and then that like negates their special summon from their hand or from the graveyard, and then they get burned with 2k battle damage, life point damage, and then that ends up popping off my Sarah, so I can like special summon a Traptrix monster from my deck and go into more advanced plays like that. Mandatory card, probably my favorite trap hole card in the entire deck. We have Ice Dragon's Prison. Target monsters in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field, but its effects are negated. Then you can banish a monster from both players' fields that have the same type of each other. I used this in my Winged Dragon of Raw gameplay in the last Traptrix video that I posted. It came in handy, but they ended up surrendering because I was about to go into like a really dope play. But yeah, it still came in handy. Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare. I don't really use this card that often, but it comes up handy sometimes. I don't even know the effects of this card. If your opponent special summons an attack monster this turn, target one monster your opponent controls with 2,000 or more attack, destroy it. Then if you have a whole number trap in your graveyard, you can banish one monster from your opponent's graveyard. You can only use the effects. You can only activate one Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare once per turn. Yeah, I rarely use this card. I don't use this card at all. I normally go for like Floodgate, Gravedigger, and Terrifying. But it's there because it's the new support for Traptrix, and sometimes they summon a monster that's 2k or higher. And yeah, this video is long, really long. I might cut it up a little bit, who knows. Holotea is a new trap monster that becomes a trap card that becomes a monster when you discard one normal trap card, and it becomes a monster with 2,400 defense, 400 attack. It's not treated as the trap card when it activates its effect. It's actually treated as a monster, which you can use, level 4 monster, which you can use to go into Xyz plays and all of that stuff. So yeah, Holotea is actually busted. You run this at 3 because it's supposed to be ran at 3. Now to the extra deck. extra deck, we have Rafflesia. They use 2 level 4 monsters unaffected by the effects of traps. By trap effects, not just whole number traps, by any traps. And while it has materials though, if it doesn't have materials, then it's affected by everything. So while it has materials, Traptrix monsters you control except Traptrix features cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Your opponent cannot target Traptrix monsters you control except Traptrix Rafflesia. So I would normally summon this to protect Sarah if I don't have any like back row. And so they can only attack Rafflesia, they can't attack Sarah. And most times they don't summon something that's more than 2,500 defense, so that's where this card comes in handy. I have Tornado Dragon, which is sorry, my family woke up, so yeah, you're gonna hear some stuff in the background. But Tornado Dragon, this is the new card I don't have in my IRL deck. This is the card that I learned to play. So 2 level 4 monsters also. Once per turn, quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card and target 1 spell trap when you foot destroy it. So it's pretty much like Myremello a little bit. It's used for back row movement pretty much. We have Baguska. Baguska is pretty self-explanatory. 2 level 4 monsters. Once per turn during the standby phase, detach 1 material from this card if you cannot destroy it. This attack position monster cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot target this attack position card with card effects. While this card is in your face down defense position, change all face-up monsters on the field to defense position. Also negate the activated effects of monsters that were in defense position when that effect was activated. So pretty much like it negates all attack position monsters and it negates all effects if they're in defense position. So Baguska takes everything from attack to defense and negates their effects pretty much. Used for when I want to play the long game with Baguska mostly. That's what I summon Baguska for most times. Time Thief is used mostly for me to go into Zeus most times. But Time Thief, I don't really know how to use it. I know it's pretty busted in this deck. But 2 level 4 monsters, once per turn during the standby phase, you can attach the top card of your opponent's deck to this card as material. Quick effect, you can attach up to 3 different types of material from this card and apply the following effects, depending on what was attached. If it was a monster, you can banish this card into the end phase. Spell, you can draw 1 card. Trap, place 1 face-up card your opponent controls on the top of the deck. You can only use this effect of Time Thief Redoer once per turn. Okay. I mean, once I play it more, I might understand what Time Thief does. XD's monster for Traptrix Alamaris. This is not new support, but she's here. Alamaris, 2+ level 4 monsters, unaffected by trap effects while this card has materials. You can only use the following effects of Traptrix Alamaris once per turn. Alamaris is actually a good card. I go into her a lot more than I normally do. You can attach 2 materials from this card, purchase them 1 level 4 plant or insect monster from your graveyard. So most times I use the first effect to summon Myremello back to pop a back row. And if your opponent's monster leaves the field because of card effect and is now in the graveyard or banished, except during a damage step, you can detach 1 material from this card and target 1 of them and special summon it to your field. So I can special summon 1 of their monsters to my field if their monster was destroyed by a card effect. So say Raigeki or something like that, or Lightning Storm or something like that, I can special summon their monster back to my field. Penguicula is one of the new XD support monsters. 2 level 2 monsters. While this card has material, it is unaffected by trap effects and effects of other monsters with the same type. So it's Earth type. You can only use the effects of the following each of Traptrix particularly once per turn. You can attach 1 material from this card, add 1 Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. If a monster is owned by your opponent, is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect except during the battle step. damage step. You can attach one of these monsters to this card as material. So, like I said, with Alamaris, if a card leaves the field from a card effect, Penguicula's second effect can attach that card to her as material and use it to turn into whatever whatever type that card is, I believe. Yeah, pretty busted. We have Zeus for the long game, you know. Like I said, I normally use Zeus to, like, you know, wipe the field most times, and, like, you know, in games pretty quick if I'm going against like a deck that I can't like really, like, you know, beat. Zeus comes in handy most times. I haven't really played him in this deck since I got like the new Traptrix support, but pretty sure there's going to be a time when I do need him. We got 2 level 12 monsters, or if you attack the Xyz monster and go into battle phase 2 or main phase 2, you can just go into Zeus and, like, you know, defense position, and then detach 2, wipe the board, and you have a monster. They don't have a monster or anything, unless, like, you know, you get negated and whatnot. Sarah's mandatory. She's our link 1. She's used for mostly our big plays. You need 1 non-link Traptrix monster to summon her. This link summon card is unaffected by trap effects, like all traps, whole normal traps and traps. You can only use the effects of the following of Traptrix once per turn. She's busted, and not during the damage step. First effect: if a normal trap card is activated on any player's side, my side or their side, if they activate a trap, I can special summon 1 Traptrix monster from my deck with a different name than the cards I control. So if I already have like a Mantis on the field, I can't summon another Mantis. I have to summon something else. But if a trap goes off, any kind of trap on my field or their field, I can special summon a Traptrix monster from my deck to the field. And if a Traptrix monster uses its effect, I can set 1 whole normal trap directly from my deck to the field. Sarah's pretty busted, bro. That's the best card in the extra deck. We have some nightmare packages fodder. I just use this to pop cards most times. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it doesn't work. I use this to pop big monsters on the field. We know what Cerberus does. 2 link monsters. If this card is link summoned, you can discard 1 card and target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls, and the main monsters on destroy it. If this card was co-linked, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. We also have 1 Phoenix for back row removal. Also, you know, 2 effect monsters. If this card is link summoned, you can discard 1 card to target 1 spell or trap your opponent controls to destroy it. And if this card is co-link, you can draw 1 card. What is it? Co-link. Draw 1 card. You can only use the effect on Nightmare Phoenix once per turn. Co-link monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. Yep. We also have Kularia, which we don't really go into Kularia a lot, but Kularia, this video was 30 minutes. That's crazy. 2 insects or plant monsters. This link monster card is unaffected by trap effects, so it's just like Sarah. Any trap cards played, it doesn't affect it. You only use each of the following effects of Traptrix Kularia once per turn. After you activate a whole normal trap card, you can set this card instead of sending it to the graveyard. During your end phase, you can target 1 Traptrix monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. So pretty cool. We don't really go into the link 2 that much. The link 3, however, which is new support, Adipus is actually pretty good. 2 plus monsters, including an insect and a plant monster. This link summon card is unaffected by trap effects. All traps and monsters you control gain 1000 attack while you have a normal trap in your graveyard. Once per turn, you can target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of insects and plants monsters you control. Negate their effects until the end of this turn. Then you can apply one of these effects. Banish 1 normal trap from your graveyard, and if you do, destroy 1 of those targeted face-up cards. So we've went into this a couple times. It's a pretty dope card. Pretty busted like Sarah also. So you can normal or link summon this with the plant and insect monster. Every other Traptrix monster gains 1000. If I have a normal trap, I can negate the effects of all of my opponent's monsters on the field, and then after that I can banish that same trap card, but Adipus loses the 1,000, but I can still destroy their target, a face-up monster. And by that time, I can just like go into like, you know, my other monsters that still have 1,000 attack and plus 1,000 attack, and just like end the game pretty much. And we have Underworld Goddess for when big monsters are on the field, and we just have to tribute some of their monsters to get them off the field and do damage pretty much and negate their cards. Length 5. So yeah, Underworld Goddess, pretty self-explanatory. Don't need to really go into that. This video is longer than I wanted it to be. We're missing one Traptrix card support from the new support. It is Traptrip Garden. No, it is Tantalizing. Yeah, this one. I don't have this one. I have it in my IRL deck, but I did not put this. So you can discard one level 4 insect or plant monster or a normal trap and draw 2 cards. And you can banish this card from your graveyard and target one of your banished level 4 monsters, plant monsters, or normal traps, and place it on the bottom of the deck. Only use this effect of trap Tantalizing 2 once per turn. Oh, it's a decent card when you don't have any like. When you break and you only have this card and like other like traps in your hand, you can use this to like, you know, discard 1, draw 2. Pretty much, it comes in handy IRL more than in the game. But when I get the UR, you see I don't have the UR for it. I'll probably put one of these inside the deck. But this video is super long. I might cut it, chop it up a little bit. This is my Traptrix Master Duel deck. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, all of that stuff. Sorry my voice is kind of like raspy. I'm still kind of sick, recovering from that. But yeah, more Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel videos coming in the meantime. Make sure you guys stay easy, be breezy, and I will see you guys on the flip side. And don't do anything that I wouldn't do. Also, follow me on Twitch. I'll be back to streaming in August, hopefully. I'll be playing more Yu-Gi-Oh! And Final Fantasy and all of that good jazz over there. So all the links will be down below for you guys in the description to check out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully this guys gave you some inspiration on making your own Traptrix deck in IRL or in Master Duel. Wait, that's gonna do it for me for today. I'm your boy Kyba. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.